In the final debate before voters head to the polls, incumbent Democratic candidate Andy Beshear and Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron debated key issues like Kentucky's economy, education, and abortion. Governor Andy Beshear started off the debate touting economic advancements in the state.
We are coming off our 2 best years for economic development in our history. This administration set a record $27.5 billion new dollars invested in us, invested in Kentucky.
When asked about the state income tax, Beshear said he would not totally eliminate it. Cameron continued to promise to do just that, saying he believes it's necessary to battle rising costs.
Inflation is rocking your wallet and is killing your savings. It's more expensive to buy groceries, gas. It's more expensive to buy everything.
The two again went back and forth on their plans for education. Beshear says he wants to invest in the public education system by giving an 11% raise to school employees across the board.
My opponent supports vouchers, which would take money from public schools and send them to fancy private schools, tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars sucked out of a system that already has such challenges.
When repeatedly asked, Cameron would not say whether he supports school vouchers. He instead described a 16-week after-school and summer school program to address gaps in education.
And you're going to hear the governor in his rebuttal talk more about vouchers. But you, the parent tonight, I want you to know that in the Cameron catch-up plan, we're going to catch your kids up on the disastrous decision that Andy Beshear made to shut down our schools for nearly 2 years.
Another question repeatedly asked tonight and throughout this race is whether each candidate would support an abortion ban that includes no exceptions to rape or incest.
No child should ever have to carry the child of her rapist.
Well, I've said repeatedly that if those exceptions were brought to my desk, I would sign them.
In Lexington, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.